Okay, you knew it was coming sooner or later. This is Anti-Power Ranking Episode 2. And of course, as always has to happen on these, we're going over Summonzon early. So let's get some things out of the way first. Remember, the rules here. We're adding 1 point for something in the class that is massively wrong that you need to really, really look at. 0.5 for something you should seriously consider before playing it, and 0.25 for some minor issues going on. So the higher the score on these things, the worse it is. So first off, someone asked for this and said, hey, talk about the Demon Machine nerf. That nerf is not for us. That is not for Summonzons. This is my old Summonzon from the past seasons. You can see the chance to pierce is still on the Demon Machine. That is a nerf for, like, Blade Sins, who were using this to proc multi-shot. And they were getting free pierce that was just sort of overpowered. The pierce on this doesn't really matter because you get pierce from your passive skillers. So getting an extra little bit of pierce is no problem. I mean, you see mine's way over capped. If I took off the 57 here, I mean, it was a slight nerf in that I had to get some pierce corruptions when I ran it this season, but it wasn't that much. It's a very, very slight nerf. Demon Machine still works. So that's not getting any points. But let's talk about some of the issues with Summonzon. And again, if you want a gear overview, there's plenty of build guides out there. That's not what this video is about. You might be able to find like 7 or 8 of them on this channel. So go check those out if you want. First things first. One of the massive problems with this is that critical strike is not accurate. That critical strike is accurate. I have tested this. I am like 99.9% certain that the critical strike on your sheet is the only thing that counts. So you have all these fancy passive skillers that are buffing critical strike, which adds a huge bunch of damage. They don't work. So you need to put hard points into this. Now the problem is the passive skillers do not work for evade. Evade is broken as well. Anyone who's respect knows this, because the second you put 1 point into evade, it kicks it up for the game, just that game you're in, and it counts for the passive skillers. You rejoin, they go away. So you have 2 broken skills automatically that are not working on this class. Second, well, on the same vein here, strafe is broken right now too. Just slightly. It's causing massive desync on the servers. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if it's just me, but to me it's broken. I couldn't get it to work this season. It was just desyncing me all over the place. It's still continuing to do it. I tested it on non-ladder. It's doing it on non-ladder as well. So, and on top of that, if you are a new person playing this, hopefully you've done some guides on it and seen some stuff here, that power strike buff is basically worthless. That does not add a whole lot of damage. So in my opinion, there are 1, 2, and we'll count half a point, 3 maybe total broken skills here of the 4 that are going to be very important to you. That's going to be a full 1. Let's actually bump that up to like a 1.25. How about that? Because that's, I think there's a massive problem when the tooltip is not displaying your skills correctly and you have to go to guides or YouTube videos or the community to find these things out. So that's a massive problem with Summonzon right now, which is why I've switched off it. Again, I always start as Summonzon and eventually bleed into a multi-shot build, and that's sort of what I did for this season. Not much more to say about that. It's very weird. Passive skillers work for pierce. They do not work for critical strike or evade. I'm not sure why. Beyond that, other problems with this build. It used to be incredibly cheap, and now it is probably the most popular season starter for Amazons. Even multi-shot people tend to start on this because it's so overpowered. I mean, you can do day 1 Ubers with a Spirit Sword. It'll take you 3 hours, but you can get it done. So all of these, the whole reason when I started this was these passive skillers, like a 24 lifer or something, that would be going for like a pull or an no one was using them. Now these are just as expensive as anything else. And if you're going to transition off of a class, you're going to put money into it, build it up, get it to work. All of a sudden, what do you do with these passive skillers? You might keep a few of them around to get to level 30 on your Volks if you like that like I do, which I have on my multi-shots. I got 4 of them still sitting on there. But what do I do with the other 6 or 7? I mean, I save them for Ubers, but there's no resale value here. This is a season starter for a lot of people, and even if you're like me and you deck it out and go insane, well, what do? You can't really resell the passives. They drop in value much, much quicker than other skillers. All skillers drop, but these will drop much faster than everything else. So we're gonna have to give the resale value. I'm gonna give that like a 0.5. I think that's gonna be a major consideration for people. I'm trying to be fair because I don't think these things are that big of a deal, because I love this class, obviously. but I'm just basing this sort of off the feedback I've heard from people. Spoiler alert, another 0.5 we're going to add on here. This is truly not, in most people's opinion, a fully endgame mapper. And I'm going to disprove that next season. I'm trying to talk myself into playing something else. But what I do every season is I always have 4 characters about, so generally 3, worth like 15 to 30 high runes, instead of sinking like 100 high runes into a character or something. I'm tempted to not do that next season just to disprove people. You know, do what Multi-Cum-Shot did and just have all faster run walk damages, all faster run walk passives, deck out everything, make it as speedy as possible, and just start crushing things. Because it can do that. It's just as expensive as a multi-shot Zon at that point, and most people would rather play multi-shot. So that is a fair consideration. If you're going to play Summonzon, the biggest complaint I had was it's slow, and then I found out people weren't building it right or playing it wrong. But even then, if you dump it, I mean, you want to compare this to a GG multi-shot Zon, it won't be close right now, especially considering the fact that, you know, one of the buffs for this should be that you don't really need to dump points into critical strike, and you still do because it's not working right, or it's working as intended and the tooltip needs to be adjusted. So that's another 0.5. There's a massive problem with this for most people because it is not an endgame build. And I'll try to disprove that as much as I can next season. Something else to consider, your gear is very specialized because you have to summon your decoys. And you see, this was my old one that I got the 99 on. I mean, 99, you don't even feel it. I miss this so much. Yeah, I love this class. When you have 99 cast rate, that feels great. I have 2 20 FCR rings. I have an FCR High Lords. I have, the Arachnid Mesh on this one. What happens if you're only at like the 35 breakpoint? Well, that doesn't feel so good, does it? That's a little bit slow. So you need very specialized gear here, which can sometimes be a blessing. Someone gets that weird 13 max damage. Well, I don't have one on here, but like 13 max damage, 20 FCR Life Leech ring. Well, who's going to use that? 20 FCR for Sorks and things, they want res and other mana after kill, life after kill. Well, if they roll something like this, actually there, 12 max, 20 faster cast rate, fire res. Who uses that? It's just us, just the Summonzons. We're really the only ones who care about cast rate and damage like that. So the specialized gear can be a blessing and a curse here because you will find less of it. But at the same time, when it is out there, it will generally be cheaper. But that is that was my biggest complaint playing this class was, man, before it got popular, because of me, yes, I changed the meta. Before it got popular, though, it was so difficult to find the gear, and honestly, it's getting more difficult again as people are sort of falling off of it. By the way, real quick, while we're talking about this, when people are trying to price check their bolts and their arrows and stuff, you want to see some dope-ass bolts? Those are dope bolts. The ED is low. Here, you want to see some doper bolts? Like this, when you're saying, hey, what can I get multiple high runes for? We're talking about like stuff like that. Like that, those are GG bolts. Faster run walk, ED, the max is a wasted roll. A little bit of life leech, I think it might be, no, it's not my only one of this build. Deadly strike, strength, and mana after kill. Like those are what you're looking for when you're talking about bolts. Another thing to consider with this class is if you are using it sort of like I do as a up to the midway point of the season, and you switch over to multi-shot or something like that, it's not just the resale value on the charms, but what do you do with like this? Like I kept it around, and I switched this one completely off of strafe. I mean, it's not just the resales on the charms, it is the resale on the items themselves. Like who's gonna buy that? That's mine. That's mine forever. And if you did a lot of experimenting, by the way, with like a Wrath, there's a Burr wasted, or a Mist, Sham Goal wasted, and you don't like them, well, again, resale values on Summonzon items drop drastically. And as much as I love the Mist Colossus crossbow is actually amazing for multi-shot, but, you know, people aren't going to buy that because people are stuck in their mindset. I gotta have a 6-socket Wind Force. So if you don't have a 6-socket Wind Force, are they going to buy your items that you've switched off of? No. The good news is, I guess, we'll give point back later, but, you know, Fortitude is like your best in slot because it's the only ED cast rate armor. And again, I've already sort of gone over this, but other considerations that are negative for this. One is you can hybrid too much. We'll give 0.25 for that. You really have to find out how you want to play it and there is a point where you end up screwing up and having to readjust everything. It's called level 34. Level 34 in your Valkyries is when the Ubers really just start ripping through them faster than you can summon them. And if you have built it in such a way that you don't have that anymore, or gave away the gear, or sold the gear, or something like that, getting back to that point is problematic. And you might just have to be stuck, giving up on the decoys and giving up on that stuff and going for a pure multi-shot build or something like that. So what have we gone over? We've gone over the broken skills here. We've gone over the resale value, the difficulty of finding items on this. Oh, and then let's talk about, I'm going to give 0.25 too, another spoiler, for the play style. So one of the things, and I went over this in another video, but what people do is they play this very incorrectly. And it takes some getting used to. What people want to do is they want to sit back and pop away like this at stuff. And just kind of use the, wow, my keybinds are all different on this season. What the hell was I doing? That's not how you play this. It's not a class like that. Because the decoys absorb so much damage, what you want to do is summon them, step right up onto them, and spray. And for meleeers, you're like, okay, what's the problem here? Why is that 0.25? Well, because if you are a ranged specialist like I am, that is a weird style to get used to. And what I found out was a lot of people were dying on Summonzon, not just saying it wasn't good, but they were actually dying on it. And I was like, what is going on? This is like the safest class in the game if you play it right. If you are used to multi-shot and not getting used to getting in the faces of things, you got to do it. You can't just run away from aura packs, or else your clear speed is just going to be trash. You got to be able to spawn your decoys, not be afraid of the pack, trust your damage, and walk right up on them, use them as shields, and spray through everything. And so I guess what was my problem on pushing Summonzon on the community, right? One, it was a little too specialized. Two, it's really a great hybrid class, but I've learned people don't like hybrids. It requires a pretty specialized play style and specialized gear. It's just very unique. I like unique things, but honestly, for most people, I've heard more complaints about the Summonzon. People think it's neat. People like that I brought it up. People like that I made it a thing, but they don't enjoy playing it so much. And that's perfectly fine with me, because next season I'm probably going to go it again, like I said, and just dump 100 high runes into it and just deck one out. But at the same time, anti-power rankings, these are the things we're considering, right? And as usual, I think that's everything. We've gone over problems with gearing, cost, problems with the skills, problems with the play style, and just about everything else. So, the total score will pop up on your screen here, because I didn't count again. Yes, that number. That is a great number. That's my favorite number, actually. So, Anti-Power Ranking Episode 2, I'll put this up next to the Whirlwind Assassin. And if there's any other classes you guys want to go over, I'm going to try to stick to the ones that I know really, really well first before I have to do a bunch of play testing, because I can't talk about gearing unless I gear something up myself, or just have enough knowledge about the economy. Some of the things I will, like a Cold Sork, I've never played a Cold Sork. Well, that's a lot. I have, but I haven't geared one up as my season starter, is what I should say. I could still get a pretty good idea of how easy it is to gear up a Cold Sork. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if there's other classes you guys want me to go over and give a rundown of some of the problems with them, let me know. See you guys later. Oh, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm saying it I found a balance. I'm saying it at the end of videos, because if you're here at the end of the video and you forgot to subscribe, I will let you know. I don't like asking at the start. That's what I'm going to do. You shouldn't just sub right away. You should have to sit around, watch. If you like what someone says, you get to the end of the video. All right, now it's probably time to hit that sub button. Either way, see you guys later. And actually, while we're here, my message to the subs here. I know who I am. The reason I tell people that I am a lawyer is not like a flex. I am truly an attorney, a divorce attorney. It's to let people know that I am an asshole. I am truly an asshole. Trust me, I've taken peer-reviewed personality tests. I am, like, statistically, officially an asshole. So I know what I'm doing sometimes when I'm being controversial. Like, if I want people to watch a video, I might start an intro talking about Roe vs. Wade. Right? Because I know someone is going to not listen or not read and say something incredibly stupid, and it's going to generate some controversy, and people will watch the video if it's something that I really want people to see. Like, I really do believe Tyrael should be nerfed. That's exactly why I did that. At the same time, my goal has always been to try to better the game and the community and spread the word for it, and that is at odds sometimes with my personality. So at this point, after a year of really trying to do everything I could, actually what started this was make the subreddit a little bit better. I know that was the folly in the first place, trying to make Reddit a decent place, but at this point, I am going to be done posting things on the subreddit entirely. If you guys are interested in seeing stuff, it will be posted here. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to ask you guys to also not post my stuff on the subreddit, as I think someone did who's a big fan. He's a nice guy. I've talked with him before. But I at this point think that there is enough shitheads like me that the arguing that I'm creating when I want to create a controversy just so people will watch the video or fall into my little trap to get outraged, it's actually not helping. And I think the subreddit is just sort of a dead medium for me at this point to do that anymore. It's causing more problems now than it's helping, and I can tell that from the amount of angry direct messages I get. I used to get 2 or 3. Now when I get 20 of them, that's when I know, we've kicked the hornet's nest too much. So just point is, I know when to generate that controversy, and I know when I want to, kick the hornet's nest. I will not be doing it in the future, or at least for the foreseeable future, until that subreddit gets better moderation or the idiots leave. People seem to forget that you can check people's Reddit history. Like, I think I'm arguing with someone who might have a point, and then I read their history, and they think that DMT opens up an interdimensional universe to the nether realm, and they can communicate with ghosts when they're on DMT. And I'm like, actually, I'm just arguing with someone who's high and probably a little bit insane. But at this point, most of the people who send me angry messages or things like that, I can check their histories. I know exactly who they are. They're either trolls, people who don't play PD2, or generally shitheads. So you can tell I don't have a script. I'm not good when I don't have a script. Point is, just don't post my stuff if you can help it. I'd prefer to keep it all here for the time being, because I think that's better for the game. People do like me, obviously. That's why you guys are subbed here and still watching this. So if you want to see stuff from me, let's do it here, and we'll keep it off the subreddit for the time being. Anyway, if you didn't like that message, you can hit the unsub button, because you don't have to watch. And if you did like it, well, then hit the sub button, and we'll keep doing stuff here. Hope that wasn't too preachy. See you later.